Hello, thank you for tuning into my channel. This is my Finish It Friday video for Friday, June 28th, 2024. So if you want to see what I've been working on this week, please stay tuned. It has been a pretty wild week in the sewing room this week. I've gotten a lot of things done, mostly getting ready for Vlogmas, filming ahead of time so that those videos can go on time has been, the main focus of what I've been working on this week. But there have been a few projects that did get done, or at least partially done. So let's start with the Type It quilt. I have a few videos showing various stages of production, and then I'll show you the finished quilt. It is finished. It is washed. I can't wait to show it to you. But first, see how it progressed, and then we'll look at the finished product. I just finished this last row of stitching on the Type It quilt. I used the Baptist fan pattern. You can see it really clearly over here. And if you've been following the channel, you know I was concerned about the bowing that was in the piecing here. And so here is what happened. At this point, we got a little bit of bunching here. And I think there are like a few other little places in the quilt that it happened. But I just think it's interesting that it flattened pretty much the whole rest of the quilt, but at the very last one, we got just a little bit of bunching. There's also some creasing right in here at the end. The last thing, before I pull it off, I want to show you where we're going to lose a little bit of this piecing. So this is my basting stitch, this long horizontal line, that's my basting. And so this is where the quilt, like this is the only little bit that didn't get basted. And this is where the long arm stopped. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it along here, along this basting line. And then I'll tell my sister to get this person to sign it in a different place, just so she can still have that. We do at least get the name, but all of this is going to go away, unfortunately. I'm going to take it off the long arm and then take it upstairs and lay the whole thing out so we can get a good look at it. Here's the first look at this quilt off of the long arm. I am so excited. I sort of want to squeal, but I am not going to for the sake of the video. But I'm pretty happy with it. I love the quilting. I think the quilting turned out great. I love how flat it is. It did perfectly. So a little close up on the A there, and then we'll go up to the J as well. The quilting just really cements those, the applique on there. I just think it's great. I can obviously, from where I am, I can obviously tell that the size is a little bit wonky. To me, it looks like a huge tumbler block or tumbler quilt because the top is smaller than the bottom. And I have a choice. I could, at this point, I could get a nice straight line down either side of that. But if I do, then we're going to lose even more of the signatures. There's one there that's really close to the edge. And then here are a few other ones that are kind of close. And so I don't want to lose those if I can help it. I think it's going to be fine. And the only reason that I know it's kind of lopsided is because I made it and I'm right here looking at it, but maybe it's not as noticeable once I have the binding on it. What I get to do now is cut these sides off, cut the excess batting off of it and backing, and then go ahead and put the binding on. Not sure if I'm going to do that today. I kind of just want to enjoy it, let it sit on the floor for a minute before I bind it, and then bind it later on in the week. But so happy to have another almost finished quilt under my belt. I think it looks great and that she is really going to enjoy it. The Type It quilt is complete. Take a look. I have the binding on it. We'll zoom in a little bit and get closer to this binding. Again, the shape of it, it's just, it is what it is, and that's fine. I can live with it. I love the way that the quilting looks, of course, but let's check out this binding. If you'll remember, I took the leftovers, some of the leftovers from the cutoffs from the side of the quilt and put them on as the binding. And those look really cool. There you can see them. And then I took some strips from the fat quarters to put there. So really interesting. And I took the gray. Let me show you the gray that I used for the flange. It's that gray. And I put it on the flange of the quilt. It's really a nice looking quilt, in my opinion. I haven't looked at it from the back, so we'll flip it over so we can see that. I just want you to get kind of a close-up of this binding. It turned out really nice. And I was surprised with how easy it was to stitch on. But I love the colorful outer portion of the binding, and that flange to me it just sets it off just a little bit, especially down here where you see all that red. You can see that little silver poking through. It's pretty cool. All right, and then let's flip it over. Like I said, I haven't looked at the back yet with the binding on it, but yeah. Take a look at that. That looks pretty cool. So, and the quilting came out really good. So my next step, I'll show you the label right here. I actually put the label on the front of the quilt. I called it Magic Carpet Ride. It kind of reminds me of, I guess, like Aladdin. And she's graduating from high school, graduated from high school, getting ready for a new adventure. So, hey, I think it fits. Okay, so my next step is going to be to go ahead and put this in the washer with a lot of color catchers. So hopefully these reds and blacks won't bleed onto this cream fabric. But we'll do that now, and then hopefully it will look amazing when it comes out of the washer, or out of the dryer. I can't wait to see this thing finished. I have the finished Type It quilt right here. Now, if you've been following the channel, you know that at each stage, there were a few challenges with this quilt. I am happy with how it turned out. But even in finishing, in washing and drying, there are still challenges. One challenge is that some of the writing has faded a little bit. And so I'm just like, ugh. And I don't think there's anything I can do to fix it. She's just going to have to squint to read some of these messages. I don't feel comfortable trying to trace over them. I'm not going to do that, but they are signed. And I mean, it is filled with love, but I'm just like, oh, one more thing. On top of that, I decided to put the label on the front of the quilt. So I hand wrote it here on the front, and I'll show it to you because it is almost completely faded. So let me come up to the camera. I don't know if you can see that, but I wrote it in the little areas and it's almost completely gone. And I am pretty bummed about that. But of course I can just make a label and put it on the back, and I might do that. I haven't decided, but I know it's important. But I just haven't decided how I'm going to handle that, because I did think about rewriting it here and heat setting it. And I thought that as I was pressing the quilt top that I did heat set all of the writing, but maybe they just wrote too softly or used a smaller pen. So instead of using the 08 or the 05, they might have used the 03, and it may just not have shown up as well as we would like. But nonetheless, it is done. I am excited about it. It looks really pretty. I've not taken a picture of it all washed and with our little quilty crinkle, but I'll do that in a little bit. But it is done. So I can add it to my list of completions for 2024 and get ready to get it down there to her. One completion, that's amazing. Another thing that I did get done was this rainbow string quilt. I know you can't see the whole thing. I'll zoom out so you can see it. It is pretty cute. Let me see. Yeah, it's I really like it. It is I used a paper foundation for this, so you can kind of see it on the back. And it's kind of wrinkled. I just kind of threw it over to the side while I was working on some other things. But I am overall happy with how it turned out. It is 4 blocks by 5 blocks, 20 blocks. And each of these blocks is about 12 inches. So about 48 by about 60 are the measurements for it. This is going to be featured on a Vlogmas video. So if you want to know how to make this, there will be a video about it with maybe a few tips and tricks. I don't know. But this part of it is done. I think that I'm going to add a few borders, but that's going to come a little later. But I'm really happy with this. I think it looks great. It is a wonderful partial completion for the week. Another thing that I did this week in preparation for a Throwback Thursday quilt or Throwback Thursday video is I made some bow tie blocks. So here's just kind of a sneak peek at one of the bow tie blocks. These are so simple and so fun to make. So I can't wait to share that video with you. And there is a previous video about the bow tie block, and I'll link that in the description. You can go ahead and check that out if you choose to. But I have a couple more blocks that I can share when we remake this block. As far as anything else, I'm trying to think. For next week, I really want to focus on my nephew's quilt. I'm going to take this quilt or this top down so that I can get a good look at the blocks that are behind it, because I really need to get that quilt started up. And then working on some scrap things for our scrap series. That's going to be another focus for next week. Also, I was thinking about pulling my great-grandmother's quilt out to just do a little bit of work on it every day. Haven't really decided how to work that out, but it is something that I also need to do. Okay. I'm really excited about Vlogmas. Really happy that you can join me on this journey. If you don't know about Vlogmas, I make one video, or I post one video every day for the month, variety of different topics. And I did make a preview video that I will link in the description box and in the iCards right here so that you can check it out. So you'll know what's going to happen, hopefully, in the month of July. If you have any questions about what you've seen in this video, leave them in the comments below. Also comment what you're working on, what you're excited about. I would love to hear it. Thumbs up this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!